Hey, what's up? This is Kevin from Kevin's Barbecue Joints, and this one is really awesome. It's with Winnie Yee-Lakhani. I might be pronouncing her name wrong. She's from Smoke Queen Barbecue. Winnie is a force of nature. She is amazing. I've been curious about talking to her for a long time, and we finally got the opportunity. If you're watching on the YouTube side, she's seated between two of her SG Metalworks pits, and in the background, you see Jared, who works with her, who also has worked at Lewis Barbecue. He's working the pits behind her, dealing with their brisket and their chashu and their Malaysian sausage. So that's a really interesting thing that's going on in the background. But Winnie's story is incredible. I'm not going to get too into it because it's better to hear from her. But she was born in Malaysia. She has Chinese and Malaysian heritage. She draws from that for her flavors for her Central Texas style barbecue. She talks about the business that she had at 20 years old that put her through UCLA, and then she talks about the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 businesses that she had prior to the pandemic and how the pandemic affected those businesses, and that's how she got into the barbecue business and the barbecue world. And those stories are just phenomenal. She's the kind of person that can't sit still and is always trying to work hard and always trying to work hard for her employees. And I think by the end of this, you're going to get a really good sense of who she is. You're going to want to visit her. She's at Smorgasburg in Los Angeles every Sunday. They're open from 10 to 4, but she sells out. And we do talk about a brick and mortar in Garden Grove, which just sounds like a killer idea and a really cool concept. And at the very beginning, we kind of jump in. We're talking about Michelle and Andrew from Moose Craft Barbecue, because as I got closer to doing this interview, I'd mentioned to a number of people that I was going to talk to Winnie, and they all were super excited, and especially Michelle and Andrew. And so that's where we're jumping in the beginning of the interview. But her food sounds amazing. Her drive is unquestionably amazing. And also she's going to be on the Food Network starting Monday, May 9th in the 3rd season of Barbecue Brawl. So you can check her out every Monday, or I guess on Discovery Plus too. But I can't thank Winnie enough for taking the time to share her story in detail and to share a good part of herself in this interview. If you're enjoying these, please subscribe. That way you don't miss out. I have a website at kevinsbbqjoints.com. But at the end, stay safe and visit your local barbecue joint. I told a number of people that I was going to be talking to you, and I was on a group text with Michelle and Andrew, and I told Michelle, and she was so happy, and she said, "You're so great," and she loves you. And so I thought it was just nice. Like, a number of people said they're so happy that I was talking to you.
She's one of the sweetest people I know. Actually, both her and Andrew. The first words that came out of Andrew's mouth when I met him was, "You want me to back up your trailer?" Because it was for barbecue day, and I mean, I'm an Asian driver, right? My reputation kind of precedes me, but I'm a pretty great driver. It's just dragging a trailer behind a huge ass truck and trying to back it up, and like getting it in your head that when you turn this way, the trailer's going to go that way. And so I was
going to say that exact same thing. That's how I feel.
I was like backing up like so many times, like that one episode in Austin Powers where he's like in a little golf cart and he's like doing a 20-point turn. So Andrew popped out of his truck and he's like, "Do you want me to back this up for you?" I'm like, "Yes, please go get in the truck and do this for me."
Did he do it in one try?
Yeah, of course. He's a pro.
Yeah, he's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're like some of the best people I know they're dear to their friends, and I'm so happy for them. And it was just nice she said like that, like you've had such a storied career in the industry, and now you're doing barbecue. It's just such a cool, like it's great. And so I like, and I also love talking to people that are hard workers, but a lot of people in the barbecue world are some of the hardest.
You have to work hard if you want to be in barbecue, because there ain't no easy way to do barbecue. There's no shortcut.
So Winnie, so it's so nice to meet you, and this is so great. I appreciate you taking the time. I can't wait to share your story. Are you from
Garden Grove in Orange County? Okay. Yes, off the 22, the 5, and the 57. And I'm originally from Malaysia. I was born in Malaysia. Okay. Yes, I'm 3rd generation. So my great grandparents were Chinese immigrants who immigrated to Malaysia. So my grandparents were born in Malaysia, but I'm full Chinese. Like we still kept our heritage, our culture, and our language. So I speak a little bit of Mandarin and Cantonese. I came to this country when I was 6. So I'm kind of like ABC, American born Chinese, but I wasn't born here.
So do you recall any of your time in Malaysia?
Yes. Every year, my parents were very traditional while growing up, and we would never speak English at home. We would only be allowed to speak Chinese, and they would make a point to take us back every summer so that we don't lose our heritage and our culture. And plus, like, our grandparents were there. So every summer, we would spend at least a month in Malaysia to visit our family. So we are very close knit, and my brother and I, we have really like a close tie to our relatives back in Malaysia because of this, and also like the food and the culture. And I can even speak in a Malaysian slang, you know.
Well, that's cool. That's a big deal. That's a really big deal. But can you describe Malaysia for people? Because I think most people wouldn't. And is there a large population of Chinese in Malaysia? Okay.
So Malaysia is originally like inhabited by the indigenous people. They're known as the Malays. They're predominantly Muslim in religion, and because of the location of the country and how it's very close to Singapore, there's a lot of natural resources. So a lot of immigrants, like back in the 1930s or whatever. I'm not very accurate on this history, but it's not a history lesson. But a lot of immigrants from China and India went to Malaysia, and so because of that, right now, a third of the population is made of Chinese people, a third Indians, and a third indigenous Malays. And then from there, like after, multiple generations have been living harmoniously together, a lot of them do interracial marriages. There's also like a Chinese Malay mix we call Nonya. That's a different category in terms of race or ethnicity. So, I'm full blood Chinese, but, because the government has done a really great job in like taking care of the people and getting like embracing our cultures. Like, for example, Ramadan just passed. The government, the people really embrace Ramadan. They embrace the Festival of Lights or Holi, which is Indian. Ramadan is Muslim, and then Chinese New Year, like a lot of places celebrate, a lot of businesses celebrate Chinese New Year, which is Chinese/Buddhist. So because of that,
eclectic country, gosh.
Yes, very eclectic. So, all three races have been living really harmoniously for, I don't know, like 60, 70 years or something like that. And so our food has actually been very fused. Like, I feel like Malaysian food is like the ultimate fusion food because you put soy sauce in your curry, in your Indian curry, and then you put lemongrass in there. Lemongrass is very Malay, not very Indian, So in a way, like a lot of that is just like harmoniously mixed in together, all these ingredients. And then that's how you get Malaysian food. So the best way I would describe Malaysian food is Thai food on steroids.
Okay. Wow. I got what you meant.
It's not as sour and it's not as spicy as Thai, but then we have more fragrant notes, a lot of aromatics, a lot of curry powder, like spices that you would find in curry, like cardamom, cinnamon, cumin, coriander, turmeric, chili powder. So if you like Thai food, you would love Malaysian food.
It's interesting because I haven't, like, as you're speaking, I was thinking I've never been to a Malaysian restaurant. I don't even know if I've even seen one. I'm LA, you would think there would be, and maybe in Garden Grove there is, but I have never seen one.
There aren't that many out here because there aren't that many Malaysians out here. I think there's far more in New York City. There's a lot. In London, there's a lot.
Okay.
Also because Malaysia used to be a colony, used to be colonized by the British Empire. So the British are very familiar with Malaysian cuisine. So, and that's another thing why I really wanted to like throw my heritage into barbecue, because I realized that barbecue is a technique and not a cuisine. So, you could take it in any direction you want and you can make it your own. And that's what I'm doing.
And it's this is like you came upon like the perfect time to do this because people are accepting that and people are interested and curious and people are bringing their heritage and background to barbecue. Yes. Whereas 10 years ago, that wasn't really happening. Maybe a little bit of Mexican influence in Texas, but it wasn't happening that much. So the timing is pretty, I guess.
I mean, it's all accidental, but sometimes it's, the universe has a plan.
Definitely. So, but was your plan to go into food growing up? Was that something that what was your course? And you grew up in Garden Grove? What was that?
No, I grew up in various cities in Orange County. I moved a lot. Okay. I actually went to UCLA for biz econ. Okay. I came out, I graduated, worked for Target Corp for a couple months, decided that it was not fulfilling, and I was the worst employee ever. Like, and it's so funny because I have employees now, and I tell them, like, don't give me this excuse because, don't bullshit the bullshitter, because I used to make up all these excuses.
Because
and
yeah.
I know, I wrote the book on it, right? So, I quit my job and I decided I wanted to do cakes and pastries. So I went to pastry school. Oh. I felt like the corporate world was not fulfilling. And honestly, like 20 years ago, there's no room in the corporate world for an Asian woman. It's just, there's no room, there's no way to climb up the ladder.
There's a ceiling, and I can see that.
There's a glass ceiling for women, and then there's a lower glass ceiling for Asian women.
Wow. Yeah.
So, it wasn't fulfilling to me. And my dad said something that I will always remember. He says, do you want to be a small fish in a big pond, or do you want to be a big fish in a small pond? Very nice. I decided, I didn't know if there's any money in pastries, but I went to pastry school anyways because I wanted to learn. So while I was in college, like my parents they're immigrants. So they started, opening small businesses here and there. And so I was able to open my very first business when I was 20 years old at the Holiday Inn in La Mirada. It's like a little gift shop.
Really?
It's like a 500 square foot gift shop. We made enough to pay for my tuition, pay for my rent at UCLA. While my friends were drinking on Thursday nights, I was placing orders for my store. And then Fridays, I would drive back to Orange County, go to Costco, pick up my cigarettes, pick up my candy, and all, the hodgepodge of stuff that you find in a gift shop. And, and then Sunday I would, also I would stop by in downtown LA and get all the random stuff, the tchotchkes.
Yeah, all that stuff you can get. Yeah,
all the souvenirs and all those random things. So at 20, I was like already doing that.
Wow, that's impressive. That is so impressive.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
I come from a family of entrepreneurs, and so I've been working since I was like 5 years old. My parents used to pay me 50 cents an hour, and I would like work the register at their like convenience store. So it's nothing new to me.
Yeah, that's part
and
of your
it's
life.
Just like, yeah, it's just part of life, and it's a great stepping stone because I graduated debt free, and then I still had an income while I was working for Target. And then also I had a taste of entrepreneurship, and I thought, forget this. I can't, like, I don't fit in this corporate world. I don't fit in this mold. And I really loved making cakes. So I went to pastry school while I still had my business. And so after a year, I had another opportunity to open another business. And that was at the Hilton Anaheim next to the convention center. And I got so busy that I just stopped going to school. I realized, I was getting bored making muffins and cookies. And I wanted to make like masterpieces, like sugar flowers and big wedding cakes and things like that. And so it was a community college, and they weren't going to teach me that. So I decided, I'll just drop out and I'll focus on my business. And so from there, that's when I actually opened my restaurants. I have a souvenir store that predominantly sells, we predominantly carry like Disney and licensed products, whenever you go to Disney.
Right now you have this?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I didn't know. Okay, that's awesome. No, I didn't know if, because you said now, and I didn't mean like you were now in the story or now in life. Okay.
Oh,
wow. Okay.
No, now at this moment. I also own a nail salon at the hotel, and I own 3 restaurants at the hotel food court as well. So I've been building up, my businesses from the age of 20. And so I think like a lot of people, they see from the outside in how like I've grown this business so fast, because it hasn't even been 2 years yet. Like I somehow got onto Food Network. I somehow got on into Smorgasburg. I somehow like figured out how to scale it, right?
Yeah,
it's not like, no, And I want to say that in business, you have winners and you have losers, like businesses that are winners and losers. I've had my fair share where I lost thousands, tens of thousands of dollars in my businesses. And then I have businesses that make money, that are profitable. And so like when you see Smoke Queen, it's a culmination of this 21 years of entrepreneurship that I've worked. And I think that's what I don't want people to think like, oh, you know, like she makes it look so easy, or I don't want them to feel jealous. I want them to understand that it is something that I've applied my 21 years of experience into something like this. And anybody can do it. Mm-hmm. No, but anybody can do it, you know?
Yeah, that's a great message too. That's a fantastic message. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I look young, right? People think I'm like maybe in my 20s, I hope.
Yeah,
I still want to look young. I have some wrinkles, but you know, I have so many years of operation and entrepreneurship behind me that I think like it just, this is the proof, you know, the business.
But how did you from having all these businesses, what was the spark, so to speak, that made you?
So this is a very interesting story. And since we have time on this podcast, I'll like go in more detail. Time, yeah. So like, I want to say like 12 years ago, my husband and I, we found that the egg barbecue, it's a Vision Grill ceramic smoker. And we knew that it was like $1,000 or whatever, and it was on sale, right? And so we thought, oh, this is a great deal. I've seen people smoke on it. Let's get it. So we got it, and we didn't understand how charcoal worked. You know, we lit it up. We didn't wait for the charcoal to burn out, you know, and we started grilling a steak, like really expensive steak on there. We thought like it would turn out great, and it turned out terrible. Like every single bite, you can smell that burnt chemical taste.
I was gonna say like a chemical like taste, because it's that residue that's yeah.
Exactly. So we didn't know what the hell we were doing, and we're like,
I've done that same thing a long time ago.
so that smoker was put away for a really long time because, you know, it just sat in the backyard just as display. And the pandemic hit, and so I have those 3 restaurants, and along with my nail salon and my other souvenir business, I have about 50 employees I was in charge of. And it was like March 18th or 17th when that stay-at-home order came out. We were actually preparing for a really huge convention because we're right next to the convention center, and that's our bread. Like it's feast or famine there, and when it's busy, that's when we make money, and that's how we cover our losses on the slow days. Exactly. So we had about like $15,000 worth of food in our walk-in because it was going to be the Natural Products Convention, which is one of the largest ones. Oh. They usually expect like 100,000 people in the city. And I called all my employees to come, wrote them their last check, basically. And I said, you know, I don't know what was going to happen. I think they're just trying to suffocate this virus by just staying at home for 2 weeks. Yeah. But honestly, I knew that was not the case. Like it's not going to be 2 weeks. It's going to be way longer than that.
Same with me. Yeah,
I felt it. Yeah. And I basically, I told them like, you know, we have water, and that time people were fighting for water, toilet paper, and what else, you know? Yeah. A lot of things.
I think it was like all like the basic stuff. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So we gave away all the food in our walk-in. Like there was like $15,000 worth of food. They were just packing it, taking it home. They were taking cases of water home. And I told them like, you know, let's see like what happens in 2 weeks. And I knew that we wouldn't come back in 2 weeks. And I helped a couple of them apply for unemployment, those who needed help doing so. Like some of my employees, like they don't know how to use a computer, you know? So yeah, it was a very, very hard day. It was a very scary day. And just, you know, when I was driving home, I broke down and cried like uncontrollably because
the weight of everything.
Yes, because my job as an employer is to make sure that my employees are working and they're fed. You know, I'm not the type of person that goes in there and like, hey, you go mop this, go clean the bathroom, go do this. Like my job is not to order people around. My job is to create a demand for the business so that my employees are continually employed, right? Yeah, like they were calling me after a couple of weeks, when are we opening again? And at this time, the hotel shut down. The entire hotel. The hotel has 1,600 rooms. Okay, it's the largest hotel in Southern California.
A quick aside, I in the past life when my dad was alive, we sold furniture to hotels, and we did like a wing of that hotel because it was so massive. It's such a huge hotel.
Massive. Yeah. Yes, it's massive. And they had to shut down because occupancy rates were like 90-something% all the way to 3%. Like
insane.
In a span of 2-3 days, and the hotel couldn't sustain itself with all the labor costs. So they shut down. And I couldn't get in there. I couldn't pivot, and I couldn't like try to open a Grubhub account and do like app ordering like a lot of restaurants are doing, So we had I was just stuck at home doing nothing. And then that summer, how there's a shortage of meat.
It's
like one of the meat plantations somewhere was like, closed down because they had an outbreak of COVID or whatever.
A bunch of different I think 2 or 3 of them had. I forgot
exactly. So I would be the one that would go on the weekly run to the grocery store, and I went to Costco that day. And it was when you would like wear gloves and you have a mask and a shield and all this stuff, like a hazmat suit, right? Yeah, because we didn't know what was going on. And they limited 1 piece of meat per customer. And so, of course, I go find the biggest piece of meat because it's for my family for a whole week, right? And I see the brisket, and I thought, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to try to smoke a brisket, because I've done it before. Yeah, I've done it before like a couple times, and it sucked, and also like I have 2 kids. I'm a working mom. I have businesses to run. I really don't have time to babysit a smoker, right? So I thought, now I'm home. Like, let me try to smoke this brisket. It came out really shitty because I didn't know that I didn't know the difference between direct heat and indirect heat. I needed a lava stone, which I didn't have. So I went out to Home Depot, got a lava stone, went out, tried to hunt down for another piece of brisket. And like, I just kept on trying like every week, And then finally, like my husband and my friend said, why don't you start selling online? Because I see a lot of people like meeting like random strangers in the parking lot, exchanging food for money, So I started the Instagram account. My husband gave me the name because I didn't know what to name this business. And he said, you're the smoke queen. Because every night I'm like in bed, we're watching TV, and I'm like, hold on, I got to go downstairs and check the smoker. And he's like, you're always smoking, And
so that's was it that dome pit or what?
Yeah, the ceramic. It's like a Komodo, but it's from Vision Grills.
Yeah.
It's this big, huge ceramic. It's great because like I would put this brisket on like around 12 or so. It got to a point where I knew how much charcoal to put in. Okay. So there are times where I didn't put enough charcoal, and I'd wake up and it's like, it's not done. It's not ready to wrap because the fire went out like 5 hours ago. So I got to a point where I got that down, and I would put it in at 12. I wake up at 7, wrap it, and then finish it off. So
were you watching YouTube stuff or anything, or reading anything?
Yeah, it was mostly YouTube, mostly Harry Sue's videos.
I was gonna say Harry because I've seen you with Harry, and he seems like someone that could help people like you. They needed help with it. A different.
Yeah, and Mad Scientist also has a really great video and great info. So, but everything I learned right now for this business is not through YouTube. It's all through trial and error, and also through Jared, who he worked for Lewis for about 2 years.
Oh, for Lewis Barbecue in Charleston?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he learned from John Lewis. Yeah, that's how I got this business started. The first weekend I sold 1 whole brisket, and I was super excited because like these random strangers are paying me like upfront, sending me money through Venmo, and with the promise that I'll meet them later on in the week. And I could just be like, sorry, no brisket. I get to keep your money, right? To me, it was really surprising that people would just do that, that they would just like Venmo you right away to place the pre-order.
Do you think it was because of the pandemic, or do you think it was because people are trusting in nature. I wonder what do you think? I wonder why.
I think it's the pandemic. There was a food group on Facebook, and that's what they did. Like they would post all these foods, and then to order, everybody demanded money up front. And so I think they
so it
kind
became
of like
natural.
yeah, they were customers were conditioned to just pay up front. So second weekend, I sold 2 briskets, and I realized I hit my max really quick because I can only fit 2 briskets in that tiny smoker. It's like an 18-inch or whatever. So the next day, like the next week, I went to Costco and they had 2 Traegers. They had a bunch of Traegers. They had a roadshow, right? So I bought 2 Traegers because I felt like I needed to scale. Like I can't sell more if I can't smoke more. So I kind of built my barbecue business with 2 Traegers in a way for the longest time until finally Shane could get me this 500.
So how long were you doing this out of your house then?
I think from August through March, I was doing it with just my Traegers. I figured out how to make 6 whole briskets in one night. Then March, Drogon came, the 500. And then immediately the health department came, knocked on my door, and the city came and they slapped me with a citation of running a commercial business in a residential zone and also not running a restaurant in a non-approved food facility.
Yeah, okay.
I looked into, at that time there's also cottage licenses where you can run like a restaurant in your house.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But you can't, it cannot involve high risk items like meat. It's basically like pastries, baked goods. Yeah, but like, and also here's another thing, like I'm serve safe, right? I've been in the food industry for 12 years now. I know how to handle food. I got a commercial fridge in my garage. Like I knew how to make sure that my food was safe to consume.
All the danger zone stuff and all that.
Yes, exactly. But see, like these strangers, and what's so wonderful about this community is like they trust that you're not going to mishandle their food. Like I would never order some random, like something from some random person online unless I knew how, like if they knew how to handle their food, right? But that's just me. And I think that just shows, like, to me, like the pandemic brought up a lot of good in people. And I really saw that. And I think Smoke Queen is proof of that, of community, of helping your neighbor, minus my neighbor who reported me.
which but, like if Bert's watching this, or Adrian, or Michelle, or any of them here, all of them have had people call on them. Like it's just, it's but just it's so sad.
I know, but and that time, like I actually called who did I talk to? Either the health department or after I got cited, right? I called them and I basically said, like, what do you expect me to do? Like the COVID shortchanged me by so much. Like it's been months since I actually had some sort of income. And now I'm trying to rebuild my life. We have so much in lost revenue, hundreds, millions of dollars in lost revenue, right? So many employees unemployed. And I'm just trying to pick up the pieces. And I was able to employ like 3 employees while I was doing this from my house. Like it's so easy for you to sit on your desk with your 10-year job and just go around shutting people down, And I think in a way, like I was really angry, but in retrospect, I'm very grateful for that happening because that forced me to look at other avenues and how to grow my business. Because I think at that point I knew, like, I was maxing out 6 briskets every time I smoked. And I was at a turning point where I thought, what do I do? How do I grow from here? How do I bring this into a brick and mortar? How do I transition? And taking that step to transition is really scary. Taking the step to get licensed here at this commissary, to pay additional rent, having additional overhead is a liability, right? It's extra liability that I'm not comfortable with because I've been doing this at home. And it's like, anytime I can quit. Now I have a contract, I have a lease, I am held accountable. Right. And so that happening at that time was something really terrible and such a huge hurdle for me. But in retrospect, now I see that that was a blessing in disguise. It forced me to, it gave me the guts to take the leap, I guess.
Yeah, sometimes you need that. Yeah, you need to have that, because a lot of times you could, if that never happened, you would maybe still be cooking out of your house. Like if that, who knows? It's maybe eventually.
I would be complacent or comfortable, you know, and then it's like, now I have more overhead, I have more staff, I have more liability, and I need to figure out how to be. And that's why I'm so aggressive in that sense of being a business owner, right? Like I'm not, I don't know. Jared would say I'm
Jared
aggressive. But I'm aggressive in that I need to make that money, right? Because I have more overhead, I have more liability. And I think that really did help me to grow the business. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, but, it makes all the sense. No, for sure. But it's now, so when you got this pit, how did you find SG Metalwork? It's SG Metalworks, right? How did you did you find them through Harry, or how did you find them?
No, I randomly found him on like Facebook Marketplace when he was putting ads out, and I was just looking for a smoker because I was thinking like six briskets is not enough. You know, I need something bigger. And then I was looking for used ones, you know, trying to minimize my cost. And then I found him and I started asking. It's so funny because me and him, we still talk about like the conversations we used to have. And I would ask him like, hey, like, can I test drive like the smoker? Because I want to make sure like I'm committed to this like wood burning, because I've been complacent with two Traegers, right? And so, and he's like, no, man, this is custom made. There's no test driving. I was like, this is the cost of a car. Why can't I test drive it? You know? And he sent me a picture of an Oklahoma Joe, and he's like, go to Home Depot and buy yourself this and
hilarious.
Try it out. And I would like just randomly message him so many questions about how do I do this? How do I do that? And he's just like, I was probably his most annoying customer at that time. And it's just kind of funny.
Where is this shop located again?
It's in Rialto. It's on the way to Vegas. Yeah. Off the 15, I think, or the 10. I don't know. Somewhere like really far out.
Yeah, but it's in California.
Yes. And that's another thing. Like I decided to give him my money and not somebody else, because he told me about his story, how he's a welder of 13, 14 years. And February 2020, he quit his job to open his own shop. So he used to make like railings and gates and anything metal.
Yeah.
And so he started making smokers, and then the pandemic hit.
Yeah, like a month before.
Month before, exactly.
This is like so many. It's weird during these interviews recently. I've found so many people that like either they're doing their best business right before the pandemic, or they open their business a week or two before. It's that's crazy. So when you got that, what do you think when it arrived? Like, did he deliver that trailer to your house?
Yeah,
and then were you
he delivered that to my house. And actually, Harry Sue has a video of that, because Harry lives about 15 minutes from me, and I invited him over to come and do an unboxing video. When the smoker came,
oh cool! I'll put a link to that. I haven't seen that. I'll watch it tonight. Okay.
Yeah. So when the smoker came, I thought like, what the fuck did I get myself into? It's like, you know, my restaurants, we were selling pizzas, tacos, sandwiches, and they're fast food, fast casual, high margin, low labor, low food cost. You know, pizza margin is great.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck am I doing with this barbecue business that doesn't have much margin in? And, you know, like, it's like you were right. I was riding a horse, and now I'm riding a donkey, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Did you, but you were used. So then do you think it was that pit that made the neighbor call?
Yes.
Yeah, I think usually it's like when they see something like that, that's what kind of freaks them out. Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't even using it that much. I was selling once a week. And then actually for almost a month, I was in Texas filming. So I wasn't even selling for that long. And then they reported me.
What were you filming? Why do I not know this? Why were you in Texas filming? Was that for the
Food Network show? Yeah.
I thought that, okay.
It's actually Bee Cave,
Oh, it's in Bee Cave,
Texas,
okay.
which is really close to Austin. And it's actually, I probably missed her because they shot season 2 and 3 back to back.
Okay.
Because of COVID, everybody had to get tested and clear COVID protocol and so forth. We were in a COVID-free bubble. Huh. Yeah, I can't tell you anything that happened on the show, but I can tell you to tell your viewers to watch the show.
yeah, it's coming up, and I'll
yes.
it'll be like, this will be a perfect like way to promote the show. Additionally, like to watch it. So this will be good. So then, okay, so when did you get the commercial kitchen? Was that like 9 months?
That was right after the health department came, and they needed to have a subsequent inspection to make sure my smoker was gone. And I want to say June. I can't remember. Last summer. Last spring or summer. Okay. I've been here for a while. Yeah. So they kind of forced me to, and they wanted my license number for my legal home for this smoker, right?
Yeah.
So I had to go find a commissary or just completely shut down.
With this, were you cooking for people to come and pick up at the commissary, or no? Or where were you selling? Were you shipping? Because I know you ship.
So we never let people come to my house to pick up. I don't want people to know where I live because there's crazy people out there.
Smart. Yeah, that's smart.
So what we would do is we would text the customers. And we would tell them, like, we're meeting here in this parking lot on this intersection by Vaughn's or Target or whatever. And I'm in this car, and, this is my phone, or whoever's delivering it. I'll give them the information of whoever is delivering, and they will meet us with a 1 hour time window. And so that's how I was getting the food to my customers at that time. We still do that for our pre-orders, but right now I've been just so busy, and honestly, my restaurant business is just reopened. And so a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people actually still message me asking me when we're going to do our pre-orders again. And honestly, like, I just don't have the people. I don't have the bandwidth on Saturdays because I need that one day off with my family. And Sundays I'm at Smorgasburg. So we will start pre-orders again once I build a bit stronger team, but that all will come in time.
It's going to take some time. Yeah. And I noticed on your website, I think it even says about pre-orders on your website. So I put a link to that.
Pre-orders are great because you get money right away, and like, you're not making more than what you need. There's no waste. But then at Smorgasburg, I've gotten down to where I know how much I'm going to sell every week, more or less. So we know how much to prep. We usually just sell out.
Yeah. Well, then did you do the barbecue day? And is that what got you, because of that, did they come to you and say, hey, you should open?
Yes. So I applied once I heard that Smorgasburg was back again, because honestly, the pop-up life is a huge hustle. Like, just finding a place to pop up. Some breweries are great. Some are not as great. Some help you promote. Some really don't. They just want you to bring in customers for them. And it's really hard for barbecue because we put a lot down on the line. We invest in food and labor for a location that we are really not sure how the turnout will be. Sometimes, it's not like, for example, like if you're selling tacos, you can prep, but then like you cook as you go, right? And then if you have leftovers, that leftover that's not cooked, you can save it for another day. Whereas barbecue, it's really hard.
Yeah, no, I've been to a lot of pop-ups where I could tell that they were upset because they weren't going to sell out, and that was, it's frustrating.
It sucks because the margin, if you do sell out, your margins are already very slim.
Exactly.
Okay, and then if you don't sell out, it's like it's like taking one step up and then taking 3 steps back. So that's why I thought, maybe Smorgasburg would be great because it's a permanent location. People know that we're always going to be there. You can count on us, and then we can count on them to show up, as opposed to like my followers trying to chase me down at some brewery every week. So they invited us to do barbecue day. And so we did. And then, the manager, he told us it's not easy to do Smorgasburg. And he's right. It's not. There are days where like I wake up and like at 5 a.m. I'm like, I really want to, I look at my kids, they're sleeping. I really want to sleep in, but I can't, people expect me to be there. My staff depends on me. So I get up and go.
Because I forget, Smorg opens at 10.
10, yeah, but we go in at 5 to start prepping.
Yeah. No, I figured but so it's 10 till, I forget, was it 10
till
to
4?
4.
Till
Okay.
4.
Okay.
Yeah. So we actually hit the road around 8 o'clock because sometimes it takes an hour to get to LA because of traffic or an accident. It takes like 30 minutes, 40 minutes to set up. I like to have things in order. I like to have a buffer so that we're not like stressed out. So, about 8:15, we hit the road.
Yeah. And if people haven't, I'll put a map to where Smorg is. If they for some, it's Smorgasburg, LA, and it's the companion to the Brooklyn, I guess one. Wasn't there one in Brooklyn?
Yes. Yeah. Same company.
Yeah. And I guess the Brooklyn one, I think, opened a little earlier than the LA one, I think, reopened.
Oh, okay.
I thought so.
Okay.
But it's so for people that know, it's like everyone kind of lines up and then they let the masses in at like 10, and then it's a kind of a free for all and people line up for your food.
Yeah.
I want to talk about I could try to talk 2 more hours with you, but I want to make sure we cover your menu because it's unique. And then I want to talk about your potential brick and mortar, right? Don't you have? So I want to make sure we cover your menu at Smorg. Is your menu similar to what you've been selling people, or is it a completely different menu at Smorg, or was it?
No, I mean, everything is trial and error, and sometimes I would have specialists just to see how it's received. But for the most part, we have our brisket. It's Texas style inspired, but we don't use the Dalmatian rub. I do my own blend with paprika and cumin and garlic, and just just not just salt and pepper. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but ever since I started this business, I always ask myself, like, why would my customers buy from me and not with an established business that already has a good reputation? And I think it's the quality of the meat I use and also the flavor profile, because I wanted it to be something that appeals to me and actually expresses who I am as a person. And so, our briskets, our rub is a little bit different. The texture and so forth is what you would expect in a Texas style brisket. Yeah. We got our dino bone or beef rib, which I put my Asian twist to it with a gochujang sauce. So I make that from scratch. Yeah, I make that sauce from scratch. Okay. And it's just one day I just start, it's like a science lab. I just start mixing stuff together and then okay, you need more salt, you need more acidity, you need more umami. And so I would just like play with that. And that's how I develop my recipes. The chashu, the pork belly chashu, is something that I'm really proud of. And it's kind of accidental because chashu is a staple in Cantonese barbecue. So it's basically that barbecue pork. I think I want to say they're traditionally roasted. Like a really traditional Cantonese barbecue would be like this barrel in the ground, and you would hang the meat. So there's direct heat from below, and you would hang kind of like a pit barrel. So I think they are smoking it at a very high temperature, probably 375 or above. They don't really render down the fat and so forth. Traditionally, chashu is not like melt in your mouth. It's more like it has a chew to it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so usually they use like the loin or the belly in some cases. And I thought, I wonder what would happen if I did not, because I don't have a pit barrel. I thought, let me put it in my offset and see what happens. And let me smoke it like a brisket, low and slow, form the bark, and then, slather it with some glaze and wrap it and let it render down. So in a way it was like accidental, but also it was because I was so curious to try to like, do something different, right? Mm-hmm. Like you can get chashu from like Sam Wu, or one of those Chinese barbecue places, and they do a great job, but you can't get my chashu there because the technique is different. It's completely different.
It looks so good.
Like one day the photographer of New York Times emailed me and asked me to call him back. And I thought it was a scam. I called him. I was like, what are you selling? I'm not interested. Please lose my number. And he's like, no, this is real. Like, the food critic actually wants to write about your food. I'm like, what? What food critic? Like, what's their name? He's like, I can't tell you. They'll contact you. I just need to schedule a photo shoot. I'm like, okay, this sounds like a scam.
Yeah, it still does, yes.
It's like, no, I promise you it's not a scam. Here, you can call my editor and verify, but I cannot tell you the name of this food critic because, you know, they're supposed to be anonymous, right?
Okay.
So apparently then after, when I did the interview, I found out she already had my food twice. She ordered and picked up at the parking lot.
Oh, really?
And yeah, when I found out, I was like, wow, I think I might be onto something, like accidentally fall into my own niche, right? Of Asian style barbecue, because it's well received by somebody who is not Chinese or Cantonese. And it seemed like a popular dish for everybody, you know, of all races. That particular dish I'm really proud of because it's just a pure, like, it's fusion food, but not gimmicky. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which in essence, that's what you really want to show. That's what you want to showcase.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not just you're not just doing it to do it. Yeah, that's which a lot of people might do, just kind of funky stuff just to do funky stuff. But this is something you were actually experimenting and turned out to be fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, there are experiments that turn out like crap, but I don't post about that.
No, of course not. We're not going to talk about that. So so are those you have more proteins, right? Don't you do? I know you do.
Yeah, I do the sausage. So Malaysian sausage, I wanted to highlight my Malaysian culture and do some sort of curry dish. And Smorgasburg is very logistically challenging. And so it's, I don't know if I could ever do some sort of curry and rice and brisket thing at Smorgasburg, but I could definitely put it in a sausage. You know, it's a perfect little vessel to hold all the flavors. And so that's what I do with that. We take our trimmings from the brisket. We take pork shoulder, grind it up, mix it with our rumpa. Rumpa is kind of like a masala, like a mixture of all the, it's like the curry base. That's what we call it, the rumpa. And it's made of lemongrass, shallots, galangal, ginger, garlic, cumin, coriander, just all those beautiful flavor profiles all in one. And it's super spicy. So a lot of people don't really expect that it's spicy, but I think sausages need to be spicy.
Yeah, I think
right?
it's important. Yeah. For anyone other than, like, you know, someone like my mom who's like everything's spicy. But it's like, but I think that there's this, that's how that's it cuts perfectly, because, you know, a lot of times you'll have it with a piece of bread or with something. Yeah. But so I'm so curious, how did you learn how to make sausage? Just because you're just industrious and you just figure it out?
YouTube, just reading a lot online, a lot of shitty sausages. You know, that's how I learned, from making a lot of shitty sausages. Asking around, and then finally when Jared started working with me, he taught me his way. So we're like a perfect marriage of the two. I do the flavors, he does he executes now. So
well, if you work with John Lewis, then you know John Lewis knows how to make sausage. And all right. Oh, that's okay. That's interesting. That's really cool. Gosh, so I am like, I feel so bad that I've been stuck and can't come and see you, eat your food.
Well, we'll be there for a while. And you're always welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. We did do our pork ribs for a while, but, you know, Smorgasburg, there's another vendor that does pork ribs. So I don't want to compete and cannibalize each other. So we don't really sell pork ribs.
Rib, that guy?
Yeah. So he does a really good
Does he still do alligator?
He does once a month. He did it this past Sunday. So, you know, he gives it out for free. He's such a nice guy.
Yeah, he's so nice. He's a really cool, and he's been in the business forever. Like, it's like so long. He's a big time caterer, I think, or something. Yeah,
he does. He does a lot of big things, big gigs like that. And he told me, like, come get some gator. And honestly, I have a fear of reptiles, and so like, I know there's one day where I did a story with him with the gator and stuff, but like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I can put that in my mouth just because I have a fear of reptiles.
It's a weird thing.
I'll eat other stuff.
He keeps he definitely has like the full gator like on his pit. Like I remember coming on, and he was so excited for it. I'm like, it's for me too. It's like kind of a odd. I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it tastes like chicken, and it's delicious, and it's wonderful.
He says his is not very swampy because it's actually farm raised and not from the swamp.
Interesting.
So yeah.
But that makes sense that you don't do the pork ribs because of him. That's actually smart. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to do the pork ribs for my pre-orders because people love ribs, and we would do a peach and whiskey flavor profile with that. Yeah, well, I'll bring it back when we have a brick and mortar.
What sides do you have?
Oh, I have my sesame slaw, which I really push on my customers because I'm a big, I always tell them, eat your vegetables. So, I developed this recipe for Smorgasburg because sometimes it's really hot there, and we always have a challenge of keeping everything to temp. So the sesame slaw dressing has no mayo, no dairy. It's just sesame seeds, vinegar, and so forth. So it's more or less shelf stable, right? Because I don't want to get anybody sick with mayo, like rotten mayo. It's acidic, heavy, but then it's great because it cuts all the meat, all the fat in the meat. Then we have our loaded beans, which is just logistically, it makes sense because as we're trimming, we have all these trimmings on the cutting board, which is throw in our beans. Who doesn't eat barbecue with beans? Everybody does. Yeah. Then another side that I've recently done is chicken rice. And it may sound kind of odd to Americans, but us Chinese, we eat rice with everything. Just like Mexicans eat tortillas with everything, we eat rice with everything. And a lot of my followers are predominantly Asian, right? And so they're like me. They're kind of like ABC. They would come and they would ask me, like, they would say like, oh, this chashu would go great with rice. And I thought, let me just try it and sell rice. So it's basically a rice pilaf. It's instead of just water, we use chicken broth. So it has a little bit of flavor, but not too much. And it just accentuates it just goes with the meat.
Rice with barbecue is awesome. Okay, cool. Mac and cheese, but the rice with barbecue is just so good. I love it.
So it's funny because I alternate rice and mac and cheese at Smorgasburg because they're both carbs, right? I have people who would stand in line for 15 minutes and then leave without buying anything because we don't have mac and cheese. They're like, I really wanted my barbecue with mac and cheese. And that's like the deal breaker. And then I have people who line up and they're like, don't you have rice this weekend? I'm like, no, sorry. It's either one or the other. Like, I can't please everybody.
You need to post something on like Instagram or something. Like,
I know.
People are so silly. That's just so funny. That's like, if they're listening to this or watching this, it's either going to be mac and cheese or rice, one of the two.
Yeah, unless I figure out how to logistically do all four, we are very limited with the logistics at Smorgasburg. We're basically bringing a whole kitchen with us. And sometimes people don't understand that. If you've never been in the food service industry, you really don't understand how hard it is to keep temp, let alone like bring all these different varieties for their customers to choose.
Yeah, and it's an outdoor venue, and it's LA. It gets hot for like 9 months out of the year. So it's Do you have a dessert? I don't know if I've.
No, I should have a dessert because I'm a dessert lady, but it's just logistically. I have so many ideas I could do.
Brick and mortar, right?
Just brick and mortar. Yes, a lot of new ideas are coming out. Like, I don't know. I think I have ADD, right, Jared? You think I have ADD, right? Yes. He thinks I have ADD because I'm like every week I come. Hey, we should do this. Hey, we should do that. Oh my God, do you think this would be great? That would be great. And he's like, calm down.
That's good. You need people to rein you in. I think it's important when you have all those ideas to have someone that's like that. So Jared's helpful. What's the time frame then for the brick and mortar? Our brick and mortar
is going. Well, we submitted our plans a month ago. It's going to take some time. COVID's been like COVID's the reason why the health department and the cities have been lagging, short staff, or whatever the reason is. And I'm hoping I can, get a permit to start construction like end of summer. I don't know. Right now, so let me start over with the brick and mortar. It's actually a group of homes in Garden Grove that has been, initially they were part of a housing project for the city, and people who were staying in there weren't taking care of it. The houses were old and a lot of termite, a lot of damages, everything was all original. These houses are like, one of them is like over 100 years old. The house that we are renting is 70 years old.
Wow.
It was built in 1950. Or born, yes. So I like that 70 72 years old. My landlord actually purchased like 15 homes in that square block, worked with the city to get it rezoned for commercial or mixed use. And so she owns about 4 houses in one section. And then she owns like a couple more like spread out like little clusters in that 1 square mile. And so my cluster of houses, that area, it's called a farm block. The entire development is called Cottage Industries. Right now, she's gutting all the houses, redoing the foundation, reinforcing the roof and reinforcing everything structural, putting in the grease trap, redoing the outside. So she actually there's like 4 homes back to back where their backyards face each other. So she took out all the fencing, and it's going to be a common area where people can sit, play. There's going to be like a sandbox. There's an amphitheater kind of for like small concerts. There's a community garden.
I love this so much. Yeah. I love it. That's the coolest.
Honestly, like I didn't know where I wanted to take Smoke Queen. And I thought, once my restaurants reopened, like maybe I may give up Smoke Queen or just call it quits, just because I don't really want to open a brick and mortar just for the sake of opening a brick and mortar, because I had a realtor look for a location for me, and he's sending me all these commercial spots that are just boring. Like it's just at a strip mall. Like it's nothing exciting. And I'm like, I mean, there was one location that was already a built restaurant, second generation. So I wouldn't have to spend that much money to build a kitchen and do all of that. But it's nothing that excited me,
And that's important to have something that, especially if you're doing,
So when I found out about this development, I got so excited. And it's not like the best location, like it's not in the best part of town, but it's accessible with the freeways. And I just love the idea of rebuilding a community from these dilapidated homes. Honestly, I don't know if you've seen some of my videos where I post, like I go in and check out the construction. Mm-hmm. It's much easier just to bulldoze all those houses down and start from new, and it's much cheaper that way too. But my landlord, she's very, very strict on keeping the architectural the train. We're by the train tracks too.
Yeah, it's funny because I can't hear the train. I can't.
Oh, you can't? Oh, okay.
No, weird. Yeah, no, usually I do. Yeah.
So my landlord, she's very adamant about keeping the architectural integrity of the entire development. And, I think that really says a lot about her as a character. Mm-hmm. Also, she's a woman. So she's like a female powerhouse. Reason. Yeah. And we get each other. So here's the thing, like she's a woman for women. She's a woman that likes to empower women. And I would like to think that she loves me too. But I think we make I think we will make a really good partnership there, because we have the same goal in mind. And and I always tell people, like, I started Smoke Queen in the pandemic in a time where we were stripped of our community. And like, I accidentally created something that brought people together, and I can't do that at a strip mall. Like I want to do it in a house in like my backyard. So when you come to my restaurant, it's like you come into my backyard for some barbecue.
Are you enjoying yourself right now? Is this because it's stressful? You have so many businesses, like how, because you seem very happy, but you've got a lot on your plate.
I do have a lot in my plate, and I kind of think it is a disorder. Like my dad is the same way. He's retired, but he has all these projects going because he's just like, he doesn't like to sit down and be bored. Yeah. And I think I'm the same way. I think I like to stay busy. And I know, like, sometimes people ask me like, hey, how are you? I'm like, oh, I'm so busy. But I do this to myself.
But you thrive off of that.
He reminds me I do this to myself. And I think you're right. I do thrive off of that. And I do enjoy what I do, because I think like barbecue is a labor of love. Like my restaurants, they are still kind of, they're still suffering from the repercussions of COVID and whatnot. It is challenging, but it's not fun to to actually do the day-to-day for tacos or burritos or sandwiches. It's fun for barbecue.
Yeah, it's not as exciting.
But also like my restaurants, like it's fun for me to be around my staff because I love my staff. Some of them, they've worked with me since day one, since I opened 12 years ago.
Wow.
So we kind of grew up together, and I think I do thrive off of that relationship between my staff, my customers. And the huge difference between my restaurants and barbecue is the clientele. Like my customers are so loyal with barbecue. I remember one time I was meeting customers in the parking lot. Like one of them bought me boba. Like I'd never even met this person, haven't even seen her face yet. And she's like, okay, I'm on my way. Hey, by the way, like, would you like a boba? I'm like, sure, why not?
That's so nice.
And then I would have others who would bring drinks for us and my team, like when they come pick up their barbecue, And so I feel like that is such an amazing connection that I have with my customers that I don't with my restaurants, because those are people who are just here for a convention. They're here and they're gone,
Yeah, so, it's a very unique world that you've become part of, and I've been like documenting it for a while, and I've also just been in it, and it's hard to explain to other people that aren't around it too, because they don't see. Like I'll bring beers, so like I'll go see Zeph or something like a Logan, and it's just something that you just feel like, I don't know, it's just weird. It's a different world.
Yeah. Logan's a really cool guy. His wife just had a baby.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know.
Yeah. I just, I think I got them a gift card. I didn't get them because I was looking, like they were like, he posted something like, here's our baby registry. And then I looked and it was like almost all sold out. I'm like, anyway. So
people love them.
God,
I mean, like Logan's he's just him and Anna, they're just very genuine people.
No, when I first had an interview, I'm like, this is a kindred spirit. And you're very much a kindred spirit, I think too. Like a lot of people say like, you can't relax. Like, I don't even know how to relax because I grew up in a family where you were always busy. When my grandmother would come to my parents' house, they would give her a box of like screws and nuts and bolts and stuff, and she would sort them. Like she just wanted to do, like she was just always working, always like just doing something. Like she needed
just wanting to be productive, right?
Productive,
not
exactly.
not just sit and do nothing.
Yeah.
So I think it's a disorder. It's like
when you said disorder, I thought it was like things that weren't out of order, but I guess disorder means it's an issue. There's an issue there, but I'm okay with it. I think you have to come to grips with it, and you have to like understand that this is who I am, and like you said, you have to find yourself and stuff.
Yeah.
So what are all the different ways people can get a hold of you? And then also, are you shipping currently nationwide? Is that something you do?
So I just started that. I did some test shipping and it came out pretty good. So we ship our briskets, our dinos, and the char siu frozen. Okay. I'm working on my sauces. I have a couple sauces bottled up, and so I wanted, because not everybody, sorry, but a lot of people message me or DM me on Instagram asking me like, can I buy your stuff? I'm from here, I'm from there. And so I felt like I needed to come up with a process where I could get my product to them, even though they don't live here in Southern California. So obviously, like a frozen brisket is not going to taste the same as a brisket coming out of the smoker, like right here, right now. But within that margin of error, I think it's still acceptable, and at least people can get a taste or get their hands on my food.
Especially because it's a unique flavor profile that I can't even speak. It's a unique flavor profile that people haven't had before. So
yeah, definitely. I had one customer message me at 3:00 on Sunday, and I was at Smorgasburg. We close at 4. And he goes, I'm from Texas. I just landed in LAX. Are you still open? Do you still have any more meat left? And I said, I have a couple pieces. I have the dino. I have like maybe a couple slices of brisket. He's like, great, I'm coming. Can you like save it for me? I'm like, okay, sure. He comes like 45 minutes later, and then he buys like the platter or whatever, and he has a dino bone. And then he goes, my brother is like making fun of me right now because I just came from Texas and I'm having barbecue in California. And I said, don't sell us short, like you may be surprised about California style barbecue because we're like kind of doing our own thing. So he goes, he takes his platter, he goes eat, and he comes back. He's like, "Oh my God, that dino beef rib, like, what do you put in your sauce?" And I was like, "I can't tell you everything, but I can tell you what goes in it." I always laugh about that because I think like that's the epitome of success in this barbecue world. When somebody that comes from the place where this style originated and is excited and loved your barbecue, even though you don't really know, like I've never had Texas style barbecue in Texas. So I'm kind of like guessing in my mind how it would be like, right? I'm kind of emulating that style. And so for somebody from that region to come over here and say that he loved your barbecue, like I think that's just like, that's just the cherry on top of everything else. You know?
And he came from the airport and he came back to tell you that he liked the food. Like he could have eaten it and then gone, like left, and then never said anything. So he liked it enough to come back.
And then he messaged me later, like, "Can you tell me, like, how do you make this? How do you make that?" I'm like, "Okay, fine. Like, I'm just going to give you a little bit of hints here and there." And then he asked, like, "When are you going to sell your sauces?" And so that's why it's like, I feel like I need to start like processes where I can ship my stuff out, you know,
and that'll be all available on your website. And you redid your website, right? Or just...
Yeah, it's in my website right now. I only have a couple items in my inventory, not too much. Because, you know, I'm running out of a commissary and I'm only smoking once a week. So once we have our brick and mortar, we'll have like our mojo, our flow going. But
so like legitimately, would you think that won't be open? Will it be open this year or like fall? You think you can?
I'm hoping end of the year, like fall, October, maybe. I don't want to open in the summer when it's busy. I don't want to like overwhelm myself and our staff. I want to start slow. When you open restaurants, you don't want like a huge line. You know, it's just really hectic. I'd rather just ease into it, you know.
And will it be essentially, are you in your mind, are you thinking roughly the same menu, but just additional items because you'll have more room?
Yes, definitely. Because I have this experience in the restaurant business and in a commercial kitchen, I've designed my kitchen to be fully equipped with a fryer, salamander, griddle.
Oh, cool.
Maybe even a wok stove. I don't know. I'm still debating that because I feel like you can do so much with a wok.
Yeah.
So we will have the capability of making a lot of different foods with different techniques, you know, so not just sliced meats off the smokers. City mayor actually been out on that site. The city is 100% behind me on this. They hated how the houses were. They were very like dilapidated and like just a sight for sore eyes. There were a lot of like transient people staying there because they were vacant for so long. There was a lot of graffiti. So, you know, we're really cleaning up that neighborhood. And what's surprising is the neighbors are very excited for us, me, and other tenants to get in there because they're tired of seeing, you know, it look shitty. Basically. And it basically increased their value.
It increases their value. It also gives them like food options that they didn't have before. A lot of times those areas, there's like maybe one box store. There's not like, it's a lot of places don't have like that are impoverished in those areas. Like they don't have a lot of food options. So it's good to have, and like, you know, and some joy in life, like interesting things. Like everyone should have joy.
I really hope so. I mean, like, honestly, like I always think like, what if it's not a success? Because I'm putting so much on the line. I'm betting so much on myself. I don't have like some private investor that I can just blow his money or her money. I'm 100% self-funded. So, you know, I'm putting a lot on the line and I hope that, you know, it will be a success. Other people like Jared always says like, "Oh, I'm going to make so much money." I don't know about that. Well, there's always risk.
It's never guaranteed, but you have a lot of people that love you. That seems like there's a lot of people in the barbecue world that love you, and that, you know, hopefully we can, you know, help. I'll do my best to help promote you. And I like this, doing this interview with you was so refreshing. And so, because I didn't know your story, I didn't know much about you. And I was so curious. And then now that we can finally do this, and it's your tenacity, your drive, it's infectious. And it makes sense that you're successful at your level and that you want to do more. It's It's great. This has been really eye-opening, and I think this is nice because there's a lot of people that might not know your story, and you're going to be on TV in a week, so at least
I know
there'll be a little backstory on the show. But
I'm really scared how they are editing or how they have edited, because they can really tell a different story than what really happened just on editing, so
you're in the promo. I noticed you in the promo.
I know. It's AAPI month next month, so maybe that's why.
But
I don't.
It'll be fun. So what's that? It's called Barbecue Brawl 3. Is that what it's called?
Yes, Barbecue Brawl 3. Yeah.
Thank you again, Winnie, so much, and have a nice rest of your day. In this,
Kevin, it was nice meeting you.
Very nice to meet you. And in the next couple of weeks, I'll be out to see you. So we'll meet in person.
Sounds good.
All right, take care.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.